Hello, this is the Alice in Chains studio albums ranking video. Before we get started, we won't rank the live stuff or the EPs here, just the 6 studio albums, and at the end I can talk about the 2 EPs. I'm sure you're familiar with them, a lot of popular songs there. The material in, just one more thing, that the material in Alice in Chains Unplugged is outstanding. And those are generally the best versions of the songs that you hear on the albums. I was at a record store in Seattle in just after Christmas of 2008, and I bought the DVD Alice in Chains Unplugged. And I had already been watching, I don't know why, I was watching MTV Unplugs on YouTube, and just all kinds of different bands. I don't know what I was doing. I was like watching Paul McCartney and all these different ones. And when I saw the Alice in Chains in a DVD, I thought, well, I just saw that. I want it. So I bought the DVD because I think the one on YouTube wasn't good. Well, that started a huge stage for me of just a deep dive of years into Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is a lot of things. It's a doomy band with some slower tempo songs, sort of like Black Sabbath style tempo. So it's doom, it's grunge, it's alternative, it's hard rock, it's heavy metal. Jerry fancies them a heavy metal band. There's a lot of vocal harmonies between Jerry and Lane, and Jerry and Will even nowadays. Or there's a lot of double tracked vocals. There's a lot of dueling guitars, and if you can imagine like AC/DC or even Kiss, where you have a lead and a rhythm and they're doing different things. Lots of reverb, a lot of melodic lead guitar by Jerry, a lot of arpeggios for rhythm, and a lot of power chords, and just a variety of stuff going on with Alice in Chains. A lot of cymbals and heavy snare hits and funky drumming. And that's one of the things that I like about Alice in Chains is the drums. A lot of excellent guitar solos, a bunch of acoustic songs, and even the 2 EPs are loaded with acoustic songs, but each album has a bunch of them. And they're really good at the acoustic stuff. And are they a little gender bending? I saw a video, I saw a documentary on YouTube, and it seemed like when they got started, kind of like Kiss, they're experimenting on their look, like the New York Dolls and all that stuff. And also Kiss, for you Kiss fans out there, there's a video on YouTube of the band Alice in Chains, and they're getting all geared up in their Kiss gear. And this is in the Black Gives Way to Blue era. So if you haven't seen that yet, go look for it. They're just talking about the album and stuff. Jerry, as I mentioned, is the lead guitarist. He's sort of the secondary vocalist, but he also sings a lot of lead vocals, especially nowadays. And he's the primary writer of the songs. I'll dig into that in a minute. Lane Staley is the lead singer in the early era, and he's the secondary songwriter in the lead era. And Lane has passed away in April of 2002, April 5th. At the age of 34, which is unfortunate. And that's well documented if you want to go look into it. Mike Starr is the bass player. He passed away in March 11th, 2011 at 44. Sean Kinney's the drummer, and Will is the second guitarist in the era, in the second era. And he's the lead vocalist, and he's the second vocalist, and he's singing a lot of vocal harmonies with Jerry on a lot of songs, and he tends to switch lead vocals with Jerry. Also, the new bass player since they kicked out Mike Starr, which is a funny story if you want to go watch that documentary on Alice in Chains. Is Mike Inez. He's been the bass player forever now. On these 6 albums, there's 70 songs total, and there's 105 writing credits, and Jerry Cantrell has a whopping 65 writing credits on those 70 songs. That's a huge percentage. And there's a total, he has 65. Lane has 13. Sean Kinney is second. He has 19. Of course, but he's been in the band the whole time. Will has 5, and Mike Starr has 3. The percentage, when you look at the percentage of the 105 credits, Jerry leads with 61%. And when you look at as a percentage of credits per the 70 songs, 65 out of 70 is 92%. So yeah, he's doing most of the songwriting, almost all of it. Okay, Alice in Chains is it's interesting how drugs influence bands. In the documentary, Jerry and Sean talk a lot about heroin, and I think they had some heroin problems. Mike Starr had a huge drug problem. When you think about the Beatles, pot was a main thing with the Beatles, but then later on they changed. You know, Paul McCartney got into cocaine. You know, with Yes, John Anderson, he's like really into mushrooms, and he's talked about smoking pot and different hallucinogenics. Chris Squire and Alan White allegedly were into speed. That's what I've heard. Pink Floyd, I've heard Roger talk about how he used to smoke these spliffs, which I never heard of, but it's a cigarette laced with pot. Rush smokes pot. Peter Criss and Ace Frehley are drunks and junkies. And Paul and Gene have been sober for Kiss, and they really only care about the money. But drugs is a huge thing in Alice in Chains and a huge influence, and it comes up on every record and in a lot of the songs. So we'll just leave it at that. So let's get into it. Let's rank these 6 LPs, and number 6, I've got Rainier Fog from 2018. Now this is the newest Alice in Chains. Cool cover too, when you think about Mount Rainier, and I don't know if you say Rainier Fog or Rainier Fog. I'm not, whatever. I didn't know this was coming out, and one day I opened up the YouTube app on my TV, and the video for The One You Know popped up. I was like, what? I had no idea there was a Alice in Chains coming out. But that's the opening track on this album. And if you don't like that song, just get the hell out of here. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, that is the coolest opening track for an Alice in Chains record. And it gets the album off to a great start. The rest of the album's pretty good too. I like the bridge in Rainier Fog. I like Red Giant. Sounds like actually Red Giant sounds like the 96 Alice in Chains album, which we'll get into in a minute. Fly. And when you're gonna fall down, break down, choke, and die. That's a really cool line by Jerry. Fly has an awesome solo in it. Drone is on here. Deaf Ears, Blind Eyes. Maybe the best song on here is Maybe. It's real slow arpeggios, and it's got vocal harmonies with Will and Jerry, and I can't sing with it in that tune, but I love that song. I could crank that song, and I could listen to it over and over again. Maybe. Yeah. I've been lying if I said it felt right, even though I got a dog in this fight wounded. Excellent lyrics, great vocals, and big low guitar solo. So Far Under, I survive on the scrap. Yeah, So Far Under is great. Never Fade is perfect. It's a perfect song, maybe a little too fast tempo for Alice in Chains, but I like it. All I Am. That's the last song. That's an excellent album ender, All I Am. By the way, this is a great album, and I've got it ranked last, but that doesn't mean it's bad. The difference between this album and the one that's in first place, very slim. And once I found out this was coming out, I got the CD, and I was flying a lot back then for work and traveling, and I was listening to this all the time. Whenever I got on an airplane, I was listening to this. And so it's a big album for me. Especially, it was a huge album for me in 2018. All right, so that's number 6. Number 5. All right, number 5. I have Alice in Chains, or you might call it Tripod, or it's a self-titled. All it says is Alice in Chains, so it doesn't have a name. Cool cover too. I guess this was like a drawing of one of Jerry's dogs that really only had 3 legs. That's the story I've heard. By the way, this isn't that much better than Rainier Fog. I mean, they're both really good, and I'm splitting hairs over this. So, Tripod is an album where Jerry and Lane are, you can hear it, they're just about dead. By 96, they weren't doing good. The toll of heroin is evident in just about every song, and starting with the first track, Grind. Grind was a single, and I think it was playing a lot in MTV. You know, in 96, I was very much aware of Alice in Chains. I didn't have this at the time, but I mean, I knew some of these songs because you'd hear them. You'd hear them on MTV or on the radio. And I would listen to WAPL back then. You'd hear this stuff. So Grind is a big one. It's got to be about drugs. I mean, I don't know what else it could be about. Sludge Factory is one of the best Alice in Chains songs, and it's on this record. It's the 3rd track. You always told me you would not live past 25. You always told me you would not live past 25, live long enough to repay all the cause strife. Oh, God. I mean, hey, you can just imagine what he's singing about. Heaven Beside You's on here. So there's problems in your life. There's just a bunch of great lyrics on this record. Head Creeps, Time to Call the Doggies Off, Tired of Your Shadowing. That one sounds to me like a Lane song. Lane singing that one. Lane had a huge influence on this record too. Again is on here. I Used to Hate, Not Anymore. Shame in You. Shame in You has this real psychedelic jam part at the end, like a coda. It's a cool song. Goddamn. Goddamn sounds like a Lane song. I should look at that later. Dear God, how have you is the way it starts out. So Close is on here. So Close, this is the closest Alice in Chains has to a Pearl Jam song, or at least where they're sounding sort of like Pearl Jam. But I think we all know Pearl Jam sucks, and this is awesome. So Close. And I'm just referring to the way that song starts. The verse and the chorus, not so much like Pearl Jam, but the way it starts with that... You know what I mean if you listen to it. Nothing Song's on here. That's what's significant about Nothing Song. It's got the typical excellent drumming by Sean. He's really rocking. Nothing Song sticks to your mouth like peanut butter. I like Frogs quite a bit. That's track 11. It's a real dark song. It's really slow at the end, and it ends with a static, like, signing off, and then that's kind of how the record ends, except Over Now kicks in. Over Now is one of the singles, and it's on Unplugged. It's a great choice for a last song. Jerry's on lead vocals, and When It's All Worn Out, I'd Rather Go Without, and that's kind of like, this is the last Alice in Chains records with Lane, and I think it's just a real fitting song. So this one's number 5. Great album. Like it a lot. Number 4, I've got The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, 2013. This one, I didn't know it was coming out, and then I saw the video for, I think, Hollow or Stone. I don't know which one came out first, but it just one day magically popped up on my YouTube. I was surprised. I'm always surprised when these records come out, because usually I have a beat on them, and this one I didn't. By the way, Red, I like the Red. And what they did here with this is, like if you put the red in front of it, it has that effect. So I think that's the devil and then a dinosaur or something like that. You have to, like, when you're reading the lyrics, you have to look at the lyrics through the red prism. Otherwise, you can't read them. The first 3 songs on Dinosaurs are real plotting and right along in typical Jerry Cantrell fashion. And then the 4th song is Voices, and that's a cool song. It's one that I like to sing along to. And I think they made a video for it, if I'm remembering. And then The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here is the 5th song. And that song is almost a skip. It's pretty slow and lethargic. It's not a bad song. It's just by this point in the album, you're sort of like, what's going on here? You know, but the lyrics are really funny to that song, and that's why I listen to the title track. That's what keeps me listening through the album. By the way, the bands that name the album after a song, I'm not sure why they do that or how they pick that. You know, a lot of bands do that. They'll just take one arbitrary song and but actually a bunch of these songs on here would make better album titles. Like Hollow or Stone or Voices. I mean, a bunch of them would make a better album title. So they picked a weird track to name this after. But once you get through the 5th track, then the album just takes off. It's amazing. It's amazing after that. So it starts with Lab Monkey. That is an outstanding song, with an outstanding finish to the song. And it starts like burr, 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 burr. I think you know it if you heard it. God, it's such a good album. Then Low Ceiling. Low Ceiling's another awesome song with a perfect Jerry guitar solo in it. And then it moves on to Scalpel. And I think, if I'm remembering right, Scalpel is the song that's about 9/11, if I'm remembering properly. I think so. I couldn't validate that. I was looking for that yesterday when I was preparing for this. Because I don't know. But if you think it is, or if I'm wrong, can you please leave comments? Because I would actually like to know. You Alice in Chains fans probably do know. But Scalpel is the song where he's going, it's a lie, you know, Jerry's singing it. Phantom Limb is the next track after Scalpel. That's the Will song. And he's singing No Hope of Rescue, I'm trapped here alive. If I don't dig my own way out, I'll die here. That is, for Will, that's a perfect song. And in my dreams, you know, that's my MMA cage music. Like if I'm walking out to the UFC, that's one of them. You could have really that one pump in and be great cage music. Okay, and then you have Hung on a Hook and Choke. Whatever I say it before this or after this, I'm gonna amend it right now to. Those are my 2 favorite Alice in Chains songs. Hung on a Hook and Choke. God, golly, man. God, that's good. Hung on a Hook is the one where he's going, not gonna save you, perform euthanasia over and over again. I think that's Will singing it. I mean, if what else could he be singing about? And then Choke is the last song. And I think this is Jerry mainly singing this song. Before you ask for something better, you should know one practice at goodbyes. That's the opening line. And I kind of wonder who he's writing about. Yeah. So Hung on a Hook and Choke those are my go-tos. Those are my go-to Alice in Chains tracks. And those are my favorite songs. So no matter what I've said before this or after, that's the answer. That's why I love this album. All right, I'm going to say this next one is the one I'm least confident in. I'm gonna put number 3, Facelift from 1990. Now in 1990, we were listening to Metallica and GNR and Faith No More. I was listening to Faith No More. I had the real thing. I should do the album review. My brother had Danzig and Jane's Addiction, and I liked those. I would just go in there and steal them and listen to them. Some other stuff. And then all of a sudden, one day this popped up. And I saw the video for Man in a Box on MTV. Okay. And then I noticed my brother had this. He had the CD. Okay, so this has "We Die Young." Scary's on a wall. You should have known better as the opening line. So this is the debut album, and that's the debut lyric. That's the very first opening lyric. Now Genius says I was reading about this yesterday on Genius. It says this song was written by Jerry after a bus ride to a Alice in Chains rehearsal, and he saw some kids dealing drugs, like 9 and 12-year-old kids dealing drugs in the streets, and they all had cell phones and pagers and stuff. Like, so that's why he wrote that song. It's a legendary song. Man in the Box. Like I said, I saw the video. I saw it a million times, and even in that first year, the MTV was running it all the time, and it scared me. It scared the hell out of me every time I saw it, because I think I don't know who it is. I'd have to go back and watch it, but one of the people in the band has their eyes sewn shut, like with stitches, and it looks real, and it's kind of creepy. But catchy riff, and you'll hear it on the radio, on rock roll radio. Sea of Sorrow is on here. I live tomorrow, I will not fall. Yeah, Sea of Sorrow is excellent. Bleed the Freak. These Stand For Me, Name Your God, and Bleed the Freak. I actually always wondered if Sea of Sorrow and Bleed the Freak are the same song. Maybe just a rewrite. I can't remember. It's good. Let's just move on to the next song. Love, Hate, Love. I've listened to that song hundreds of times, but until yesterday, when I was looking at the lyrics on Genius, I never thought about what the lyrics meant. It's gross. It's a good song, but it's gross. And the one time I saw AIC in concert, they played it. It Ain't Like That Anymore. This could also be my Cage music. It's the perfect song for that. I love it. Also, is it a rewrite of Sea of Sorrow and Bleed the Freak? Could be. They sure have a formula going here, and it's not. I'm not saying that it's the exact same song, but it sure has the same formula and similar rhythm. See the Cycle I've Waited For. It Ain't Like That Anymore. Great rhyme. Sunshine. Then Some Dude Came Down to Touch the Mother. Put You Down, a song about drugs or a great relationship or something. It's a little bit ambiguous. Confusion. I Want to Set You Free. Oh yeah, Recognize My Disease. I don't know, is that a song about they're breaking up? Jerry and his girlfriend or something? Maybe. It's a great song. I love it. I Know Something About You. It's got a funny, fast rhythm guitar line. Bop, 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 bop. And then Real Thing. Not the Faith No More song, but the last song. So this is great. Actually, I'm a little torn between this one and number 2. I think this one could be number 2. Because if you asked me in the past, I would always said this is number 3. But no, I listened to this one yesterday, and then I listened to number 2 today. Okay. So number 2, I have Dirt from 1992. Now, you might think I'm crazy. You probably think this is number 1. Or you might think Facelift is number 1. And I can't argue with that. It's whatever your favorite is. I mean, they were definitely in a groove with Dirt and Facelift. And I always had Dirt ahead of Facelift, but now I'm rethinking. I could be talked into it. I could be talked into that Facelift is better than Dirt, but I'm gonna stick with Dirt number 2. Okay, I've listened to this album a lot, and if you listen to my Pink Floyd rankings, which I could put the link in, I told the story. I lost the CD, and it was gone forever since like 2008, I'm guessing. Okay. And then when I was getting ready to do the Pink Floyd rankings, I wanted to look at the lyrics for the final cut, and I opened this, and my Dirt CD popped out. So, I just about fell over because you ever look for something and you just tear your whole house apart? And every couple of years I start looking for it again. I could never find it, and it got to the point where last year I actually replaced it, and I got this used copy, and the jewel case, when it came to me in the mail, it was damaged, and I had to glue it and tape it back together. But now I have 2 copies. I've got 2 copies. This is my extra copy. This is my original, so this one has more meaning to me. Okay. Okay, back to Dirt. But I must have been in a hurry that day, and I left. When I get into a hurry, I get scatterbrained, and if I just took the CD out and stuck it in my final cut, I'm guessing that's what happened. Okay, but that's the story right there. Okay. I like most of these songs. Sick Man is a skip for me, but I don't love Sick Man. But one of my kids likes it, so I usually, if I'm listening to this album, he's gonna want to hear it. So I usually end up listening to it anyway. It's okay. I could skip it. Just about every CD has a skip song, or about every other CD. This album has an excellent mix of fast, slow, medium paced, heavy, hard, angsty, drugs, relationships, all that stuff. There's a bunch of themes in this album. You can tell by the cover. You know, they're digging a hole and they're dying, or they're about to die, or whatever's going on. Most of these lyrics are Jerry and Lane introspective songs, not in the way that John Lennon's introspective, where you really hear about how John Lennon views himself and his place in the world, or how he views the world. But it's just it seems like Jerry and Lane are telling a story of their lives. And it's kind of sad, you know. And in that documentary I referenced, I should find the link and put the link in here. I'll look for it for you guys. But they had already had half of this album written, and let me think. They were doing were they doing SAP? They were doing SAP and then Dirt. And then they had half of this written, but they needed to write the other half. And I guess Lane just, in a legendary moment, cranked out the second half of the album. And all those songs that are credited to Lane, he did in like a day or two. Yeah, when you look at the album, they've got all of his credits are right on here. Okay. So, excellent album. The absolute best songs are Them Bones, which is the first track, and it's also on one of the John Madden footballs. When you kick off, they play Them Bones, and there's a great video for it. Rain When I Die, I love. Down in a Hole. I love Down in a Hole. I love that. And I hear people complain about that song, that they play it on rock and roll radio. Like, I know they play it on WRQT in La Crosse, 95.7. And so I hear people complaining about rock radio and like they've sold out, but it's just a good song. I mean, get over it. Rooster's the same thing. It's sort of like a sellout because they have a video and it's popular and they play it on the radio, but I like it. Junkhead is on here. Yeah. Dirt's amazing. Hate to Feel's amazing. Angry Chair and Wood. Wood's one of the better songs. It's not as good as Hung on a Hook or Choke, but it's good. Junkhead's my favorite on here. Okay, Junkhead, and it's the story of Lane and Jerry. Um, yeah, Jerry and Lane are credited for Junkhead. Just go listen to it. Awesome song. Okay, so I have Dirt number two, which means that number one is Black Gives Way to Blue. Now you might be like, okay, all right. You might be getting ready to fight. Uh, by the way, I like this is the insert, and I was looking at some of the lyrics. Um, that's cool. I like the mosaic effect. I remember when this album came out in 2009. I went to Best Buy. I was working and I left for lunch and went bought the CD, and it came with a free T-shirt, which I still have. And I cut the sleeves off, and I wear it when I'm mowing the lawn. Uh, I took the CD back to work with me and put it in and listened to it right away. And I was listening to this all the time. I mean, all the time. Cool album cover. It looks like a heart drawing with a black and bluish sort of mosaic, and then kind of like the insert. The inserts does a little better job with the mosaic, but on the inside there's a picture of a person holding a heart. Let me show you that too. That looks like a real heart to me. I held a deer heart in my hand this year. I don't know. This is an album about Lane Staley. I don't think there's any way to interpret it. After Lane died in 2002, the band didn't do a lot. And, they were doing some one-offs and some things with the band Heart. And they tried different lead singers and stuff. And Jerry brought in Will from his solo band, and that's what they did. So they went with Will. The first song is All Secrets Known. It's the perfect album opener. Bum 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 bum. I like All Secrets Known. Check My Brain. That was I think that's the second single. Last of My Kind is on here. That's the first Will song. And his tunes have a pretty similar feel to it, like Phantom Limb, and it's got a cool pace. Your Decision, that's a great song. It's an acoustic, excellent solo, cool video where they cut into a cake. The person turns into a cake and they eat the cake. A Looking in View, I think that was the first single, and that's how I was aware that this album was coming out, because I was already big time into Alice in Chains at this point, and then listening to all these records, and then I knew this was coming, and I saw the video. Bum 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 bum. I like A Looking in View a lot. That could be MMA Cage music too. When the Sun Rose Again, that's probably the weakest song on here. And then after that, the second half, I'm going to say the second half is even better than the first half. The first half is excellent. The second half is... And that's by the way, an Alice in Chains staple, is the best songs are generally on the second half. I think you could say that all the way through. All of these songs in the second half are great. So let's look at them. Acid Bubble. Acid Bubble's amazing. Lesson Learned. So Acid Bubble is You Tried to Kill Me Off, and I think that's Will singing lead vocals. Lesson Learned, just another lesson learned. I looked at the lyrics. I don't get it. A lot of these lyrics I sing, and I'm not really aware of what I'm singing, but Lesson Learned, it's Jerry's singing the lead, and then there's a lot of vocal harmony in there. And a lot of times I was listening to this at work and I'm not looking at the lyrics, or I'm driving in my car and I'm not looking at the lyrics, but I'm singing it, but I'm not thinking about it because I'm driving or I'm working. So I don't know what Lesson Learned is about. It's probably about drugs or something like that. Private Hell, I excuse myself. I'm used to my little cell. I amuse myself. I'm in my very own private hell. That's I think that's Jerry singing about his former drug issues. I think he's pretty clean nowadays, but there's vocal harmony in that song with Jerry and Will. And then the album closer is Black Gives Way to Blue, to the title track. That's Jerry singing lead, and then Jerry and Will on vocal harmonies. I think I'm right there. You know, a lot of times on this album, and even on the new album, I mean, it's not new anymore, it's 5 years old, but it's hard for me to tell if it's Jerry and Will, or if it's Jerry double tracked or Will double tracked. But I think I'm generally right. I think that's Jerry singing lead, and then Jerry and Will singing some vocal harmonies in there. Fading Out by Design, Consciously Avoiding Changes. Great. That's a great song. And Elton John's playing piano. And it sounds like there's some slide guitar going on. It's just a great song. It's an excellent ending to the album. I'll keep Black Gives Way to Blue #1. For me, it's #1. It's my favorite. All right, now just a quick bonus. I'm not going to count these in the rankings, but Jar of Flies and SAP. I've got Jar of Flies from '93, a little bit better than SAP. These are mostly acoustic albums. SAP came out second. Let's do that one. It's not as good. It has Brother, Got Me Wrong. Those are cool songs, and I think both are on Unplugged. And then Right Turn and Am I Inside. And one of these has got Chris Cornell singing on it. I think it's Right Turn. Yeah. And yeah, Alice Mudgarden. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right. This is the one that Chris Cornell sings on. And this is good to listen to. It's not as good as Jar of Flies. Jar of Flies has a Rotten Apple, which is an outstanding first song. And this is one of those songs where if I put it in the truck and I got the whole family in there, everyone will just shut up and start listening. My family likes that song. Nutshell is one of their cooler songs, and the version on Unplugged is amazing. The version here is really good too. I Stay Away has got the orchestra. Excuses, No Excuses is on here. Okay, Wail and Wasp is a instrumental. Don't Follow, and then Swing on This. Swing on This is this weird country tune. Okay, so that let's just say I like Jar of Flies better than Sap, not by much. They're both good. They're just not long enough. I wish they would have just made full albums. What were they doing? Okay, so from top to bottom, Rainier Fog is #6 from 2018. Alice in Chains, the self-titled tripod album, 1996. I like this one a lot. This one's different. It's different. The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here from 2013. Facelift is #3. Okay. #2 is Dirt. And #1 is Black Gives Way to Blue, my favorite. Yeah, but you know what? It's not that much better than Rainier Fog, to be honest. I like them all about the same, but I'll go with Black Gives Way to Blue as my favorite. So I really like doing these videos, and I like sharing with you my favorite bands and my favorite records and why I like them and what they mean to me. And next, by the way, I'm getting a lot from doing it too, because it's allowing me to reaffirm which ones I like and don't like. But also in my mind, I thought I had Alice in Chains a little higher in my personal list, but listening to these, I enjoyed all of them. And I do, I like everyone for different reasons. But, you know, there was a while where I was telling people Alice in Chains is my favorite band, but I don't think they are anymore. I still like them. I like them a lot, and it's got a special place for me, and it's probably my favorite 90s band. Um, for sure it is. Although STP is catching them, I just think generally Alice in Chains is better. What do I got coming next? I'm gonna do a Steven Wilson, and um, I know he's making a new album this year, so I want to get that out before the new album comes out. Otherwise, it's gonna taint my view, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna spend some time re-listening. I already have the order worked out in my head, but I'm gonna listen to them all again, and um, maybe that'll change, but I doubt it. I think I'm rock solid on Steven Wilson. Rush, I have all the Rush albums but one, and I've been going through them. I mean, I'm in a huge Rush stage, and it is influencing how I'm listening to these records. But it might be a while before I get to a point where I can rank them all. But what I will start doing then is individual Rush CD reviews and what I like about them and which songs I like. And then I want to do some live album reviews for my favorite bands and some compilations because some compilations are weird. I was thinking about Yes Keys to Ascensions because I really didn't bring them up too much in the Yes video. But I love live albums. And case in point, I should do a review of this one. Alice in Chains Unplugged. Actually, this is my favorite Alice in Chains record, but we're not ranking it here. I'll just do a review of the album. All right, thanks everybody. If you like this video, please like or share it with your friends or other Alice in Chains fans. And if you have any comments, you can leave comments here. I'll try to respond back. If you want to leave your rankings, that's cool too. Or tell me where you agree or disagree. But this is all in good fun anyway. Nobody's right or wrong. And I look forward to reading your comments. Thanks, everyone. Until next time.